Are nurses mean to RTs? Yeah, probably. But here's what I think about that. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, leave your comments down below if you guys want to keep getting videos like this. And let's get into it. So when I first started going to RT school, I heard a ton about how mean nurses are to RTs and how mean RTs are to nurses. And it was kind of like this weird stigma that was perpetuated all the way up until I went to clinical. And have I ever run into a nurse that's been mean to me as an RT? Oh yeah. But you know what? I've seen just as many RTs being mean to nurses for no reason. So I don't necessarily think that it is, for example, oh, all nurses are mean to RTs. Because like I said, I have seen nurses that are being perfectly nice, and there's a cranky old RT that's just angry at the world, and they hate that nurse because that nurse doesn't know our specialty. Well, okay, cool. I don't know a nurse's specialty either, so if you start asking me about specific things that don't have anything to do with respiratory, I might say something that isn't fully educated, or I may say, you know what, I'm not sure about that. You know who I should ask? The nurse. Or you know who I should ask? The expert. I think a lot of the situations I've run into have come from not understanding each other's jobs. You know, I have had where someone calls me and they need something, but they don't realize that I'm in the middle of another emergency somewhere else. They don't know my schedule, they don't know how many patients I have, and they don't know what I'm doing. So if I'm on 4 floors and they call me and ask me for like an oxygen connector, like a tubing connector, because they don't have any left on their floor, and I'm the only person that has those, I need to communicate to them, hey, I'm busy, I'm in the ER, I'm in the middle of an emergency, I'm doing this, I'll get it to you as soon as I can. Hey, can I tube that to you? Or is it an emergency? Do you need this right now? It's all about communicating. And I think that over time, there probably are people that have become jaded in their profession, both nurses and RTs, not one or the other, because like I said, some of the people that have saved my butt when I'm having a crazy day are nurses. You know, they have your back, you have theirs. And it's all about like having a mutual respect for each other and communicating. For example, I was on a really busy unit the other day and they're like, hey, I would like to get this person extubated by this time. You know, I've taken their sedation off, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? That's really great. I'm going to do my best to help you with that. But here's the other things I have going on that are very emergent in these other areas. So I will be with you as soon as I can, or I will find someone else that can help you with that. Because again, it's all about communicating, being respectful, and making sure that everybody's on the same page. And same thing, you know, I've asked nurses for certain things or tried to talk to them about stuff when they're super busy, and maybe I don't realize how busy they are because again, I don't know what they're doing. So for me, I could think that, you know, they're just doing some paperwork and I go up to ask a simple question, but really they're in the middle of something really complicated. You don't know what you don't know. So basically, here are my thoughts on this. There are nurses that are very mean. There are Ts that are very mean. There are doctors that are very mean. There are lab techs that are mean. There are x-ray techs that are mean. There's someone mean in every single profession. It's not exclusive to one profession or the other. I think perhaps nurses and RTs historically have bumped heads because we work super closely together. Who have you ever been around that you're around 24 hours a day that you don't bump heads with, especially if there's something going on where the other person doesn't completely understand the whole situation because there's probably some ineffective communication going on. You know, like I can't tell you how many people I've talked to and they're like, oh, I didn't know that RTs did all of that. Or, oh man, I didn't know you guys had such big assignments sometimes. How has no one ever talked to them about this? And then after that, everything was okay. I am a firm believer in communication and letting people know what I can and cannot achieve, or what I'm going to do to try to help them achieve whatever it is that they need. Or, you know, when someone's calling me for, let's say, maybe, you know, an albuterol treatment on someone that's really fluid overloaded, maybe that person has not experienced that before, or maybe they work on a floor where that's not super common. Just because I'm super familiar with it and I understand it doesn't mean that someone else is going to. So usually I have a conversation with that person, and if they don't want to call a physician for something, guess what? You can page and call people too. That's not something that is solely on nurses. I am a huge believer in reaching out and talking to physicians when I need to. And if they're the one, demanding a treatment that's not needed or is not really going to solve the problem, why not reach out to them and talk to them and say, hey, I assessed the patient. This is what I'm seeing. Treatment isn't going to help. Let's talk about our other options. What are our end goals here? And that's perfectly okay. Again, it all goes back to understanding each other's specialties, being respectful of each other, especially in high stress situations, because regardless of what people say, no matter how calm, cool, and collected someone seems in an emergency situation, emotions and energy and tension runs high. We need to be down here, but really everybody's up here. So it's something that you just have to work on. And I think that a lot of people do forget that in an emergency situation, or, when they're really busy and they have all of these things going on, they don't realize that maybe I'm also super busy and I also have a million things going on, and vice versa. I'm super busy, I've got a million things going on, and I'm hyper focusing on this one patient of that nurse's, but they've also got multiple other patients that have maybe something emergent going on that is not respiratory related, so maybe that patient is not their highest priority out of everybody else. Not saying that patients are not high priority, but just like anyone else, we all have to prioritize our workload and what we need to get done first. If that's the case, figure it out. You call the doctor, you figure it out. We are just as much a part of a healthcare team as anybody else. Sorry, that's just my little bit of a rant because I keep getting these questions. So many people are about to go out to clinicals and they're like, oh my God, are the nurses gonna be mean to me? Maybe. But that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with them being nurses. It might have something to do with, someone being busy, or maybe people just having a bad relationship with each other in general. I've met people that are completely fine with me. We get along great. We have a lot of good conversations and good communication. But then when another RT comes up that they've maybe had a run-in with in the past before, or a personal issue with, it's a whole nother story. They're a whole different person. So it all goes back to, again, communicating. And then, some people just aren't nice, but that's not related to one specific profession over another. Maybe someone's overworked. Maybe they've got something going on at home. Maybe they're not happy in what they're doing. But again, not necessarily related to the profession itself, because like I said, I know tons of RTs that are just as mean to nurses, if not meaner, than what I've heard people say about nurses. So it's all about the person, their day, what they've got going on, and them as a person as a whole. We all have bad days. We all vent. And just like there's things where I'm like, man, why did they ask me that? Again, it's not their specialty. You can't expect someone to know everything, just like I'm sure that there are nurses that are like, man, where's RT? Man, what is RT doing? Well, maybe I was in the ER helping with an emergent intubation. Maybe I was with a patient around the corner that was desatting. Maybe I was in that silent rapid response that was called that no one else knows about because you're the lucky one that has the pager that day. There's a lot of situations, and same thing. So it all goes back again to communicating and really trying to understand each other. But that is my mini rant for the day. I have a lot more that I could say on this subject, and I may do a follow-up video in the future. Just get so frustrated when I hear all of these new students that are about to go out being scared that people are going to be mean to them just because they're an RT. No, they're not being mean to you just because you're an RT. They're being mean to you because they're not a nice person, and that has, again, nothing to do with the profession. Yeah, you're going to meet cranky nurses. Like I said, you're going to meet cranky RTs that hate their jobs also, especially out on clinical. You're going to see a lot of things, but let those be an example to you of the type of healthcare professional that you do not want to be. So I was just about to edit this and want to apologize for my half-awake little mini rant. I'm in the middle of trying to flip from days to nights, so it is currently like 2 a.m. So, forgive me for my little rant if it doesn't make a ton of sense, but yeah, that's it. Not a very Christmassy video either, is it? But sometimes these videos come up and you're like, you know what? I gotta talk about this. I really gotta talk about this because it's driving me crazy. So that's what this video was. If you guys want to see a more structured video rather than just me like, berating the camera or me scolding the camera, whatever you want to say that this whole thing was, let me know, reach out, let's have a conversation. I have plenty of stories of where an RT was being mean to me and a nurse stepped in to kind of resolve the issue, or vice versa, where a nurse was being mean to me and an RT stepped in to resolve the issue. Again, it just all goes back to that person, their experiences, and kind of how they let those experiences shape them. So don't be the person that creates those bad impressions, and be the person that really helps get rid of that stigma. There's no reason to be mean to each other. We're already in a hard enough profession as it is. Regardless of what someone else has done, again, has no bearing on you as a professional or how you should treat other people in that profession. But again, that's just my little rant for the day. Hopefully I cleared some of that up, and I will see you guys next time. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to drop them in the comments down below. As always, you can follow me on Instagram at breatheeasy_RT, and I will see you guys next time.